Greetings, my friends. I'm at the library today. I brought all my gear down here just so I could record a message to you because I never really do anymore. I work out of my home and it's a two-story house, and the bottom half is all my business, tinypandora.com. My recording area and work studio, all of our shipping and receiving, order processing, and storage of the inventory. And then I live upstairs. And that works out fine, except people are over a lot, and my granddaughter's upstairs with my husband, and people come and go in the shop. So it's not often that I have a chance to just say hi to you and record a message. So today I thought, enough is enough. I'm going to go down to the library and record it here. It kind of made me feel cool because my very first video and about a half dozen after that were recorded at the same library back in 2013. So thanks for coming to see me today. I wanted to greet you and tell you how much it means to me that you watch my videos, how much I enjoy reading your comments. I hope that if you haven't subscribed that you will, and that does help me in my business, and it helps you too because you get a notification whenever I come out with something of interest for you. So I hope you enjoyed today. It's going to be translucent cane, which everybody's interested in, and we'll be making a project with it. I think the project I'm showing you is going to be a Zoom class. I've had a lot of interest in it. So if you're interested in the Zoom class, email me. My personal email is busypandora@gmail.com. BUSY Pandora@gmail.com. And I will save that message and put you on the interest list for a Zoom class. And when you see the project, maybe you'll want to make it with me. It's a little bit long for YouTube, and that's why I'm going to offer it as a interactive kind of class. So here we go. I hope you like it. So here are 3 slices of the cane that we're making today. This one is unbaked, and this one is baked, and that's a thicker slice, probably about equivalent to a number 1 on your machine. That's the thickest on my machine. And here's one that's equivalent to probably a number 6 or 7 on a clay machine, quite thin. So you kind of see how the light changes them. This one you can kind of barely see where the white's going to show through, but when you get a little thin piece like that, you can really see how much it changes them. So that's why you make translucent cane probably a little bit differently than a lot of canes, because you're kind of concentrating on what is and isn't there as far as the design goes. You're looking at empty spots that are, forming a lot of the motifs. So this is a project we're going to make on Zoom. This isn't finished yet. It's a mixed media bottle, and I've got all kinds of stuff I'm building for the top I think you'll really like. But anyway, you get the idea of ways to use the cane that we're making. A little bit of light shines through there, but you'll see it more later. And there's another shot of the cane before it was baked when I was laying it out in the bottle. I'm doing that because I got a complaint that I don't show what we're making beforehand, so people feel kind of blind throughout the process. I feel bad about that, so I'm going to start showing you sooner. So here are my 2 blends. Skinner blends are covered in many, many videos of mine, and I'll post some below. And here is my white sheet. All this is Cernit. The white is regular white, and the 2 blends are translucent. The translucent plain mixed with translucent colors, and the colors are violet and turquoise. So I'm taking some of that sheet down to about a number 5. I don't want it to be too thick. I want the lines to be subtle but visible, and you can experiment with that. It's really fun to see how the varying thicknesses of lines really affect your cane. I'll trim it back and put it in there. This is very sticky, very, very sticky white. Cernit is probably not any more sticky than anything else, but this white is something I'm keeping on that rubber thing, that silicone sheet. because it's so sticky. You know, I have to deal with lifting it up with a blade almost all the time. So anyhow, that's why it's laying on that pink thing. So I'm making a channel in that. I just sunk a rod into that half of the purple stack to create a channel where I can put that little white piece. And roll her up and stick it in there. And when you close it back up, it forms that pretty, I don't know how to describe that little thing. I'll show it to you in a minute in the cane. But it's kind of just a little shape that I like to use in my canes a lot. Kind of like a straight comma. I don't know what to call it. Like a really skinny teardrop. So it starts out like that. Then as we reduce it and use it in the cane, changes to those little white pops you see inside the triangles. That's what I'm making there. Okay. So that was easy enough. And now I'm going to bring it into more of a sharp triangle. Set it aside. See that channel I put in it? I just used that 3/4 inch, the largest cane bender, and I placed that straight triangle on top of it and bent it down a little bit because I'm creating a spot to put this log. And this little log is going to be from my turquoise, and we'll make it fit in there just the way we want to by reducing it. So cane reduction, you know, just takes patience. It's not hard, just boring, I think, so I don't show much of it. So as time goes by, I'll get those purple lines evened up, because what I'm shooting for now is some nice straight lines going across my log. We'll trim it up, and I'm going to put some wrap on it. The way you decide where you're going to put your wraps in a cane like this is any place you need to divide one thing from another. So I would rather have a crisp white divider between my purple there and my turquoise than not. But I don't need to wrap it completely. I don't really want it to be so much of a, you know, round spot as just a shape. And so I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to take that down to the thickness I want it. That number 5 worked out really well on the other piece, and I like it better than the 4, which is what it is on that original size on the pink sheet. So I'm going to bring that down, thin it out a little bit, and put it on my log. You can see how sticky it is. It's just one of those little labors of love, you know. We don't get to decide exactly the texture of all the clay we buy, so it's kind of part of the job, isn't it? To just kind of to deal with the texture of the clay. So you see how I'm leaving it open there a little bit, and that affects the design later on. There we go. Just make sure it's kind of smoothed down, kind of even, best you can, before you stick it in there, because you can know how much it's going to not be able to be removed. That white is just like super glue, really. It's like better hope you like where you put it, right? And take that little bubble out. There we go. And we'll close it up, make it nice and smooth. And that gives me a chance, as I said before, to straighten those purple lines up a little bit. If those edges aren't aligned now, then they'll be sort of out of sync when I go to recombine this cane. So that's why I take the extra time to get a good look at my lines and straighten them out. Save all your scrap. This all these colors look great for Natasha's and stuff. I've been working with it all week. It's just so pretty. You can use slices of scrap that's like this and layer it over other colors or even more white and get some really cool deep effects from that. If you want to do that, we should do that sometime. I think it'd be really fun. So once I have that, you know, once I fiddle around with it for a minute, we'll set that aside and do the rest of this. You know, I cut out most of the fiddling. I really do. Sometimes I see little pieces of it and I'm thinking, oh my God, you're so slow. Okay, so I'm going to take this half of the cane that I have left over, and I'm going to reduce it down to twice the length of the purple cane. I'm going to do that because I want a half round piece to put on each side of that. And that's a really easy technique for building cane, is to go ahead and build it symmetrically in the beginning. You'll see lots of my canes I don't do that. Lots of canes I build are, the sides are as different as I can make them, so that when they're recombined I can get more motifs out of it. But this one's really cool because it's just already symmetrical when you start. So when you cut it, put it together, it kind of saves you a little bit of fussing. Sticky, 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 sticky. Look at this. Ay, ay, ay. But put it back on here again. I don't have to battle it out. Okay, so I'm going to put my piece that I just made onto that. I brought it down also to a little bit thinner setting. And I'm going to trim that up. And now I'll have white on one side of that. And that's because it's kind of a good idea to break up the things that you stick together. So if I just stuck the blue on the purple, I'm not sure I would like it as much as if I had a little crisp white divider. And that's really all these lines are. They're just dividing one shape and one color from the next. I'll make sure I do a good cut here because I need both those sides to be at least big enough. The sticking. You know, we love our clay. Hey. That looks all right. So we're going to stick that on the side there. Start to make our pretty motif. This could be any colors of translucent. Honestly, I want to make, you know, a kind of a simplish cane like this out of all the colors of translucent that Cernit has. I get mine at blueberrybeads.com. I'll give you a link to that in the description box. They have super fast service and they have every color. And you know, that's kind of nice. As far as translucent goes, you can tint translucent with ink. You can tint it with acrylic paint. People use oil paint. But it's kind of nice to have a source for tinted translucent that's already mixed up, right? Colors are really pretty. So I like it just about like that. And believe me, I cut out a bunch of the fiddling. That's fine the way it is. And then we're going to trim that. Save all of our pretty little pieces for later. So we got a good beginning here, and then we're going to see how we're going to kind of dress it up to give it a little more detail. Now you could go from there if you wanted to. You could make that into a sharp triangle. You could make it into a kaleidoscope. You could make it into you know, a triangle with a much larger side on the bottom. Make that into a square. So you know that from my other videos. You can stop at any point. But I was really interested in seeing what this Cernit translucent would do. So I had sort of committed to using up my whole, you know, 4 ounces I ended up with here. So that blend was 1 ounce turquoise translucent, 1 ounce plain translucent. The other one was 1 ounce violet translucent and 1 ounce plain translucent. So that's how we ended up with 4 ounces of cane to work with. It's really nice to have the pure colors left too. That other ounce of each of these colors really came in handy for my experiments, you know. Now if I weren't shooting video, I would have just extended that purple one and made it a little bit longer and coaxed it to be that length, but you know, I gotta choose my battles here. And I know I'll play with that other piece later, so I'm just gonna trim it off. So far we haven't done anything very complicated. We're using our jelly roll and our fan fold kind of raw as they were created, just sort of cutting them up and squeezing them together a little bit. It's not too bad. And now it's got to be reduced down too. And we'll make it into something just a little bit more, that stands out a little bit more for the edges of this. So we'll have a little more detail to it than we would if we just made that into a triangle. I sharpen that up a little bit, and we're going to cut it right across the top where it's pointy. I'm not trying to reduce it, so we're just keeping our sides straight and getting ready to make it into the next thing it's going to be. I'll cut right down the center. You'll see my little noggin in the frame there. You always have to be looking right on top of things that you want to cut straight. Now I've got my two pretty pieces. Ooh. These colors, I want to eat them. They're so pretty. I'm going to put a white line on these pieces too, at least one of them, so that I can make a little bit of definition and put them back together in an interesting way. So that's pretty cool. I got that flipped upside down. Oh, I forgot I did add a white line to that other piece. How soon I forget. But you can put as much line in there as you want. Sometimes you're really wrapping things, and sometimes the lines are really important, and other times they're just dividers. So you'll see as you go, how you like the result. Believe me, it's all pretty. A couple little lines here and there are not going to make your cane fail. So I put those together that way. Now I'm going to get them shaped up and ready to add to the big cane I already made. And there we go. Got that reduced now, and I'm going to get ready to use it. And just like we did before, I went to double its length, and I'm going to start to integrate that into my final triangle. It's just funny, isn't it, how like they look now, and then later on when you do this and you do that and you do more to it, they just keep changing and changing. And I guess that's kind of what I love about it, because that original pop that we put into the purple one, it was a big blob, but after you do it a few times, that by the time I squeeze this guy, make it back into a triangle again, I'm going to very much flatten those sides. And it's going to start to bring me the shape inside that I want. And that sounds so crazy, like, people ask me, how can you know how it's going to turn out? Well, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I know how I would like it to turn out. And so I move my hands and my eyeballs in the direction of how I want it to turn out, That is going to have to do. And sometimes I have to change it next time. Sometimes I say I should have done this or that, but the doing of it is where the joy is anyway. So for this one, because it was an experiment with the color specifically, I cut off just a little piece to start with. I want to say, what do I feel about this? How do I like it? And I would recommend you do that too. And though these aren't wasted pieces, I used every single part of this for my project. And, so it's good to have a test though. If I hadn't liked that, at least the whole cane wouldn't be shot to hell, So I'm making that into a square. So anytime you want to make a diamond shape like that, or a rhombus, into a square, we push and pull. And I'll give you a link to that video too. I don't like to put the links right in the video, this one, because I think it's distracting. But always look down the description box, my loves. Just always look down there, because I do try to, remember to hook you up with stuff. So I've got a little video that shows exactly how it goes from a rhombus to a square, and it's really just rocking it and trimming it. You can't really push the ends back in because you've reshaped it so much, but when you cut it, you get a nice result like that. So that's some pretty little, detail, a little bit of flash. in there that I can either use in that form. That'd make a beautiful border, or I can, if I like it well enough, I can make the whole cane be like that. But that gives me lots of options just to have a small piece that I have tried it on. I wish I could visualize just exactly like everything was going to turn out, but maybe John Stewart Anderson can. Google him, Jon. He's just a caning god. So I'm knowing that I want the scale of this to be pretty small. So I'm going to bring this in and show you how it looks when it's cut, if I can. Because I want it to go into 4. And that's the reason that I made it into a square, because I really want it to be small and complex for that bottle. Well, you saw. I want it to be delicate looking. I think this is a nice jewelry size too, don't you? You know, the scale of this would make a pretty bracelet, I think. It's small enough. You take your squares, put them back together, make sure you pinch that last square, okay? Because then that way you don't have such a gap there. Take your time fitting it up. You kind of have to. Those slices weren't perfect, but you're going to fit it together on the best side that you have. Take the flattest, best sides you have and fit it together so you can really get a look at what you've got there. I think it's pretty. I really like it. I'm going to like the way those outside pieces join to one another too. You know, that's part of the fun of it, is as the pattern continues, it gets more and more interesting. Now, you know, we got to make at least one kaleidoscope, right? So before I alter that big cane, I'm going to at least have one kaleidoscope out of there so I can see if maybe I want to go that way. I may not go that way today, but I'm glad I have that kaleidoscope because it's going to have a lot to do with the completion of the bottle. You know, I hope you guys like making projects on Zoom. You know, I've got my convention every year in September. October. And I'm having it this year, but man, we're vaccinated, we're social distancing, you know, and a lot of y'all don't want to do that right now. I don't blame you. So that's why I'm going to start offering some Zoom classes. We can get together till things, you know, get better, and then you can come see me in Indianapolis, okay? Every October. My store has the ticket information all the time. It has it all year. Even if it's sold out, it shows you that it's sold out and when the last dates were, so at least you can plan for the next year. You know, we all stay at the hotel where the event is in Indianapolis. This year it's at the downtown Hilton, the old historic Hilton, and it's right on the circle, the city circle. It's a really beautiful historic area. I'm so looking forward to it. That's August like 15th through 18th. And the year that we're watching right now is 2021. So we have a kaleidoscope and a square. I enjoyed both of them. And I'll use them for different things since that's plenty of cane to do something like that with. I hope you like that. I've added a little bit to the end of this to give you some more pictures of the project. And so you see how much cane we have left there. And there's the bottle in the light. It's a little bit better shot of the light through it. And I'll continue to make that and hope to make it with you someday. See you next time.